Everybody, how goes? You know, I'm looking at the levels here. It looks like something's doubling in the mixer. Oh, I hope we're not having crazy audio problems today. But hey, y'all tell me. Yeah, you hear double? Yeah, I knew it. We're gonna have to fix that. Well, good. I can fix it now before we get into the real stuff. Let's see if we can figure this one out. Who's first in the chat? New Malik with the first coming in, and Luminous Cloud with the second. Pew pew bap boom. That's what we do here. We make bleepy bloopy noises, generally. Okay. Let's see what's going on with the audio here. This is crazy. Looks like I am unable to connect to the remote control for my mixer. I love it. I should have checked this before going live today, but you know, I came into the studio a little later than usual, and this is what happens. I rush through the pre-show check. Oh, Luminous Cloud says it sounds fine. Well, that's heartening. Well, if I have to fix it later, we'll figure it out. Let's see who else is in the chat here today. Dave Sweetmiller, Kobanya 3000 from Budapest, and Davis from Holland. Very nice. Yes, that's right, Luminous Cloud. It's Selway's String Theory Saturdays. Mike Harding is in the house, and Live Society. Right, MZK. Did I get that right? Another one from the Netherlands. Eats is here. Funk Door is here. Irish Flip. And Farning. The Concrete Division. What's up? Dennis. Caressa is in the house. Binary Botany. And the Metaphase. Okay, glad it's sounding good. Maybe it's just me hearing double. Something in my brain. Okay. I'm grooving to this old track of mine that I use for my intro sometimes. Officially known as Recollect. You can get this on my Bandcamp. Anyway. Enough self-promotion. Let's bring it in. What's up, everybody? John Selway here. It's another Selway Techno Saturdays, or as was previously mentioned, String Theory Saturdays here at 343 Labs, music production school in New York City and in Berlin and online, where you are right now. And yeah, we're still doing techno, right? I've been, last couple of weeks, I've been working on this one track, and I'm trying to crack this nut. I'm trying to get the build up just right. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this arrangement. And I'm also starting to mix, because I realize, with techno, and we've said this many times, the mixing and the sound design and the composition and the arrangement, all of it, kind of goes back and forth. The mix is part of the groove, right? I mean, it goes like that for a lot of types of music, but especially, I don't know, the more abstract and crazy your noises are. Anyway, I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'm saying it again now. The mix is really important. I'm starting to think about those details. I feel like I still don't want to be too distracted by it. I just did a session with Christian Smith yesterday, banged out a new track, and polished up. You might remember if you were watching some months ago, I think back in January, Christian was on and we were kind of banging it out. So we've got a couple of tracks that are getting mastered and hopefully released soon. We'll see if it's on Tronic or another label. And anyway, my mind is in mixing mode because we were doing a lot of polishing. And I think one of the tracks I might still need to go back and tweak the mix a little bit. But I mention that as not just as relevant to how I'm thinking today, but as a segue to kind of officially announcing, finally, we've been talking about this forever and ever, but Christian's label, Tronic, and 343 Labs is cooperating, and we're going to do what 343 Labs is in the past is called a pro session. We did these series with artists that would come in and do like private streams or Zoom meetings, like masterclasses. And Christian and I are going to do a live streamed studio session for about, I don't know, we're going to say like up to 4 hours, and we're going to try to do a track start to finish, like as much as we can, like from, how we get started, how we build up the track, how we arrange it, how we mix it, how we argue and bicker over the kick drum, all of that good stuff. And, basically just hanging out. And this is a paid event. It's kind of a exclusive, look into, what we do. And I hope that some of you out there might be interested in joining. So we're going to do that in June. I believe it's June the 8th. I should probably double check my calendar to make sure that is correct before I confirm. But yeah, looking at the calendar, Saturday, June the 8th, it's going to take place. I'm not going to do my normal stream that day. We're going to do probably about 12 p.m. Eastern time until 4 p.m. And we'll have more details about the event and where to go and sign up, and there's going to be like a pre-sale with maybe discounted admission, and then so earlier the better, right? That's going to start going out on social media next week, right? There's going to be a page on 343 Labs. Anyway, I'm giving you guys, your regular viewers out there, sort of the first news that this is happening. Finally, I'm putting it out there in the world and committing to it. It is going to happen. We are going to do this paid masterclass live stream June 8th, brought to you by Tronic and 343 Labs. So hopefully you guys are into that. And as ever, since I'm, selling you on something, I should mention, if you want to know more about 343 Labs and what we do here, our courses, our full one-year program, our summer program that people are signing up for right now here in New York and in Berlin, you know what to do. Links are below. And of course, join our Discord if you haven't already, because I'm also working on bringing in the next guests for upcoming streams and for our next techno feedback session, which should happen sometime, hopefully, before July, sometime between now and June, we'll do that. Excellent. Let's see what you guys are all talking about in the chat before I get into back to this arrangement. And Luminous Cloud says class is in session, and Pneumolic, you're already feeling smarter? We haven't even done anything yet. Maybe it's that crazy intro talking about string theory. So, Pneumolic likes bleep and bloops. I definitely do too. Who else is new here today? George Adi Official. Hello. Welcome. Glad to have you here today. And Pneumolic says he'll be in on the masterclass depending on the price. I believe the full price admission will be $50. I think that's kind of on par with a lot of, if you look, I did a little searching to see, like, what are people charging for, like, master classes with artists, like ticketed one-off events. And it seemed to be, $40-$50. We're going to do I don't know what exactly the numbers are, but there's going to be like an early bird price that's discounted. I don't know, we'll probably, I would imagine, start somewhere around $30 or something like that, 35, and then the longer you wait, the more it costs. That's how at least 343 Labs usually does it for their pro sessions. That's what I'm remembering. So hopefully that's good for you guys. And let's see. Luminous Cloud would love to see PAS as a guest. Planetary Assault Systems. If I could get Luke Slater on this show, that would be quite a coup for me. Because, he's one of the best and one of my favorites. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way, those of you who are really serious about your techno. He's been there from the very beginning, and he is definitely, he almost never misses. All right? He's just really good. Would love to have him on. He might not remember this, but way back, early in the internet days, there was the first, I think, maybe one of the, if not the first internet TV channels. It was way early, way ahead of its time. No one had internet fast enough to do it. It was like super low quality video. And they had a show called Freak, F-R-E-Q. They would have DJs come on and they would do features on producers. And they had me come in and videotape an interview with Luke Slater. We walked around on the streets of New York City. There were a couple of guys with cameras following us, and we were just kind of chatting. I barely remember I don't remember actually what we talked about. It's just like this hazy memory of mine. Oh yeah, Luke Slater and I were just walking around with camera guys following us. And I don't know whatever happened to that, or if he even remembers it. I don't know if it was ever broadcast. But this, remember, this is back in the 90s. So who knows if it's even still out there, but, I'd love to dig that up. I've got DAT tapes of DJ mixes and interviews that I was a part of on the show back then. It was just the audio of it. So, wow. Memories of the way that we once were when we were making techno in the 90s. And that's as much as I'm going to sing today, I promise. Let's see. I think that's enough silliness from me and nostalgic remembrances about days gone by. My coffee's really working well today. I'm feeling buzzy right now. Can you tell? Let's get into what's going on with this music. Let's see. I've worked on this track a little bit, actually. Just a touch. So, if you were to go back and listen to last week and listen to this week, you might notice some small details. But, I just can't help myself. I'm liking this track. I'm kind of riding the line of, it's hypnotic techno. It's accessible and slightly trancy as well. I'm honestly trying to ride that line. I'm trying to make a track that is serious techno and has cool sounds and has a serious groove, but has a hook. It has the vocal. It has this anthemic kind of euphoric build, right? Let's listen. Let's just, I'll stop talking and let's hear the track as it is. And I'll try to refrain from messing with it too much. And you all tell me if it's sounding all right. Feel like pumping it up in the studio. If you start hearing it come through the mic, let me know and I'll turn it down. I can always switch to headphones. I should get a mute button for my mic, right? It's like okay, so far so good. Drones coming in. I wonder if that ride cymbal's not a little too loud. Okay, the vocal's definitely too loud. I forgot one of the sounds. Oops. It's not a bad place to bring it in, actually. In a low tom in between the kick drums too. I noticed somebody said there was a little extra low end or too much low end. That might be it. Or maybe it's the kicks too boomy. We'll see. Still haven't finalized the mix. Maybe I just need a compressor for that vocal. I find myself turning it up and then it sounds too loud, and I turn it down and it sounds not loud enough. That means I need a compressor. .303 is coming in. I'm going to try to keep the 303 in this. I like it as a new element in this break. Now we're getting into the part which needs the most work. It's all about balancing this drone and the intensity of that with the length of the break and when the beats come back in. Doesn't hit you over the head, but it has good energy, I think. And now I'm going even more intense with the distortion on the drone. Like, it's going up even more, hopefully. Going for that little bit of ecstasy feeling here, I think. Maybe a little, I need to work on the mix. It's a little too bright there, but I like it. Just needs a balance. Maybe some EQ. So intense, that sound. I put some multi-band compression after it to smooth out the highs a little bit. Or I could use soothe. Too much. All right, here's pretty much where I haven't finished yet. So probably right there, it's gonna break down. It's really intense, right? It gets really full on in there. I see some questions. I like that Dennis Caressa is getting some Cocoon vibes. Yeah, it's like, you know, a little trancey, little techno. Hi-hats are loud. Yeah, I feel like, Numolic says the hi-hats are loud. I feel like it's the ride cymbal that gets too loud. And again, I'm still working on the balance of everything. Some things are sticking out. Some things need EQ. Some things need compression or just basic leveling. He Banshee, hey, welcome. Do you use a clipper? A specific clipper plugin, no, but I do have some plugins in here that are doing clipping, be it saturation or I've been using the glue compressor in Live, which has a soft clipper. I haven't really tried out any of the newer kind of more precision clipper plugins that are out there. I probably should, because that's, sometimes when you want to get the right impact or the right loudness, that can really do it. But yeah, there's some clipping in here for sure. And there's definitely distortion happening, which is, clipping is kind of part of that. Functor says, need something before the kick comes back. Right. So this is something I keep going back and forth on. And I was, last time I was talking about this as well. And, the impact when the beats come back versus the tension of that part of the arrangement. And I'm kind of on the fence about, do I want to really make it super heavy and exaggerated when the drop comes in, or do I want to keep it kind of smooth? Either way, it could work on the floor. It's just really, how intense do you want to be? I feel like if I want to keep it more in the hypnotic techno world and less in the build up, breakdown, ravey kind of world, then I don't want to go too big on the build. I want to keep it continuous, right? And then, we'll get put in. It's the difference between Beatport putting your track in the raw hypnotic techno category versus the hard techno, etc. category, which is more the kind of EDM-y stuff, I guess. I don't know. There's like a lot of gray area in there, but I think you know what I'm getting at. So, oh my gosh, Mike Harding, Luke Slater, and you should pursue maybe Carl Cox as dual. Imagine getting those two legends that's just impossible. Now, I actually do know how to reach these people. I just, they're busy A-list guys. Like, do they have time for little old me? I don't know. But maybe someone like Carl Cox would be willing one of these days when he's not like, racing cars in Australia. All right. So I agree. Going back to this comment from Functor, needs something before the kicks back. So I'm going to translate that as the build up before the beats coming back needs tweaking to get the balance right between tension and release when the kick drum comes back. Binary Botany, welcome. So I'm still in arrangement / writing mode. I always mix as I go. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, in techno and in a lot of kinds of music, the mix affects the composition, right? Like how the sounds are balanced changes the groove, and the groove is like everything. So yes, I'm mixing, but I'm not doing a final mix. I'm tweaking as necessary for the construction and arrangement of the track. And for the feel, like one of the things I did since last Saturday when I was at home and here in the studio at 343, it was just tweak some levels, play around with panning. And I did a little mixing off camera and a little bit of arranging off camera, but only a little. I'm still going to do a final polish on this, which ideally will happen with you guys another time. Let's see. Where were we? Speedy J. I'd love to have Speedy J. Joachim is great. And he's had his own live streams and shows that he did during lockdown. Was it Knob Twiddlers or something? We've even had some guests in common. Paul Mack, that's another good suggestion. I like that one. I got to remember that. I bring on my friends when I can. But I like also especially to bring people who've been around from the beginning, to have some historical kind of context, and they've got their experience and their wisdom they can share. I would like new artists as well. I just need to reach out more. Feel free to throw out ideas. New artists, old artists, people that I could try to reach out to. Oh, the Advent, very good. I bet you he would do it. I bet you Cisco would do it. I think it's really just a matter of timing and when people are available. I do a show on Saturday in New York at 1 p.m. when a lot of people are like flying to their gigs. I'd have to maybe change to a weekday to get these guys when they're not on the road or in an airport or at a club. All right, back to the music. So I'm going to listen to this break again and see if we can tweak this automation a little bit so it feels, it has a little bit more impact when the kick drum comes back. I don't want to, last time I was thinking about a longer break, but I think I don't want it to be that epic. I don't want it to be like 2 or 3 or 4 minutes without the kick drum coming back. Just, it's not that, for me, it's not what I want. I'm going to keep it short. So let's go here from where the beats first drop out. Yes, Dennis and Itzy, Surgeon would be great. Maybe if I come down lower first. That's always the thing. You know, if you're going to do a build, if you start lower, it sounds more dynamic. It sounds like it rises up more. But again, I want to find this balance of, I want to maintain the hypnotizing forward motion and not have it be too, I don't want to lose too much momentum. But I could pull back the synth a little bit. Right, so if I take that away and then the drone comes up, and then bring it back. Oh, that might just do it. There's a big build just with the filter going up on this synth with the 303 coming in. Okay, that's promising. Right, simple change, just taking away some brightness from one sound to make space for another one to come in and swell up and then come back, and a little more movement in that transition. What else can we do? There's some other stuff. There's this tom/bass sound. Oh, I almost forgot. Someone asked last week, I remember I was trying to make this tom/bass sample from the old Chicago house record. And it was a lower note before. I had it down here. Or higher, I forget if it was. Yeah, I think it was down there. It was a little more subby. And I like how it sounds, but I didn't like how it sounded together with. It's out of tune with, or out of key, not out of tune, out of key with the drone. So that's how I solved it. Whoever it was that asked last time. I brought the tuning of that sample up to be the same note as the drone. I tried bringing the drone lower, but it sounded too muddy, right? I like the frequency of that sound at that pitch. Like it was more tight and sort of more full at that higher note. So anyway, that's what happened there. But you can see I've got I'm taking the low end out. Maybe if I scoop this out a little bit more. Like using my EQ as a high pass filter for this transition. So that's going to help lighten it up and create some space in there. Another thing is there's this percussion sound, and well, there's the vocal, obviously. This little percussion loop has no effects on it except for, well, it's got distortion. If I take that away, that'll work. Maybe not all the way, it's still sort of in the background. Maybe I wait on that. Not sure. Sounds like congas in there. It sounds like... I don't know. Now, working with Christian yesterday, he's a big fan of building things up and then bringing them back down and teasing more rather than building it up and leaving it up. And I don't know. It's a style, whether you want to keep it restrained or when you want to go full and everything. He would probably say at this point, take a bunch of stuff away rather than have it stay full. But then for me, that's going to take away the cool drone experience, right? So I feel like that's maybe not the move, but also I just realized the drone was missing from that whole buildup. So let's see if it still works. All right, both Ghostface and Camel P are saying that the kick comes in too soon. You want the break to be longer? Is that what you're saying? See, that's the argument I'm having with myself. I don't want it to be longer, but if it needs to be longer, then we'll do it. All right, and Luminous Cloud and Dennis are saying bring the 303 out after the drop. There's also that trumpet call, that bah. I don't know, maybe I'll leave these. This does fill in some space here. Here comes the 303. There's the drone. Let's see what happens if we bring the 303 out. Maybe we'll also get rid of the trumpet thing. Or at least filter it down. Oh, come on. There it is. All right, here's the end of the break. Not that the 303 is gone, but it's in the background. And then it can come back. And the trumpet comes back. And then the drone right here is just overdrive with that ride cymbal. This is, for me, is the real peak now. The peak is not where the kick drum drops. The peak is where this happens, where it's like, oh my God. And then I take the kick drum out here. Where is it? I'm getting lost in my own arrangement. There we go. Too much. All right, the rides are crazy loud there when I take the kick drum out because of the distortion and compression is messing up the levels, but I got to figure that out. All right, that's not the right spot. How many bars is that section? There we go. And then we go down. That's the idea. Like, really break it down. So there's a big contrast after this. Maybe even, where's the vocal? Like that. Simple, just break it down. Maybe even back off on the delay craziness, on the feedback. And this is pretty much the end of the track, actually, is how it transitions from full on to how it ends, right? That might be too much, but you get the idea. What y'all talking about? I stopped paying attention to the chat, and then you all go off on a crazy tangent. Let's take a breath. Here on Selway Techno Saturdays, brought to you by 343 Labs Music Production School here in New York City, in Berlin, and online, and the entire universe. We're having fun. I'm still enjoying working on this track. I'm feeling that, I want it to be done. But we're getting there. We're refining. We're figuring out how this whole transition. We're figuring out how this whole transition is going to work. Some of you guys don't like the vocal sample. It's fine. It's a taste thing. I realize, I could play with it. We've got audio. Hey, audio muscle. Not sure about that vocal. What about putting a gate or something on it for a choppy effect? I could play around with it. I did think about doing some granular processing to it, make it sound kind of crazy and glitchy, trippy. But there's also something said to be for simplicity. I'm fine with the vocal, so I'm not going to go crazy trying to turn it into something else. But, what do they say? Horses for courses? What else y'all talking about? What is this lead sound? Ghostface asks, what is this lead sound? Do you mean the sequenced pattern? Not the drone, right? We could look at that. I can show you that. It's a simple sound that I made in Live's analog synthesizer, this guy. But yeah, we could play around with that a little bit. And Dennis Caressa, no horns in the outro. Yeah, I want to break it down and provide contrast. And it could be that earlier in the track needs more contrast as well. And that's where we're at. We're trying to figure out how best to use the parts we have and have this track arrangement be the most effective. It's going to be given the parameters, given the parts, and not losing the vibe. Because I'm getting a vibe from this track. And if I change it too much, maybe I lose the vibe. So I'm trying to maintain the vibe. And not be too precious about it. Cool. Y'all are talking about drum machines and Behringer and 909s and drum brutes and all of that. That's cool. I have hardware here that I never use. I really should. I used to. When I was at home doing the live stream, I would plug things in more often, and we've done it a couple times here. Well overdue for doing some hardware stuff. I think it would be fun. I want to do it with friends, though. I want to do like a jam. I want to set up a couple more cameras. There's some table surface here. There's a mixer. Yeah, that'd be fun. Nice. Also, Banshee asks, what's making the drone? Okay, so before we get back into the arranging, I'll answer these questions. We want to look at the main sort of sequence happening, and that's this analog synth right here. That guy. So without the crazy delays on it. Really simple sound. I made this kind of wonky, semi-random melodic pattern. Didn't think about it too much. And one of the things that's happening with it, all right, well, look, it's a sawtooth wave. It's running through a low-pass filter. The low-pass filter has a little envelope modulation and the amp envelope. So it's just plucked, right? It's just a fast pluck shape. What's making it sound kind of wonky is that the key tracking for the pitch is not chromatic. It's larger intervals than half steps. So that's the actual notes coming out of the MIDI. And now it's playing slightly out of tune, wonky intervals, right? Which I like. And then we have oscillator 2 layered an octave below, but this one's actually not. That one's regular tuning. So the tuning is changing. The intervals are changing between the oscillators. Now they're matching. You can hear they're both equally out of tune because of the key tracking. But I like how it sounds a little weird and out of tune like this. And then I do this all the time, but I have like unison detuning on it. Am I automating this? Okay, I think I'm accidentally. I thought maybe I was automating it, but no, there's just a breakpoint there by accident. What is that? 21.31. Let's delete the automation. So that's another. I've done this before on the show. Sometimes I'll do these out of tune, crazy clusters of notes. But this time I'm just using a little bit of regular unison detuning to give it multiple voices and a little stereo. And it's also the synth is set to mono, so it's just only playing one voice at a time. But that's it. That plus a bunch of way too much delay. to make it atmospheric and spacey. And I increase the feedback over time to make it more intense. So that's what's happening here in the break. It's like way too much feedback and more high frequencies on the delays, and it gets really intense. Okay, right, the other question was, what's the drone? You know, I never did a live stream for the start of this track. This was something I started working on in my Making Techno course, 6-class online course. So it was just, I was showing some ideas to the students, and then this came out of that, right? So now you get to see, but basically, I talked about, actually, when I did show this first time on the stream, I talked about how a lot of these sounds come from this cheesy Herb Alpert, classic, actually, cheesy Herb Alpert song, and it's just samples of trumpets. So this guy, this is just one little piece of a trumpet note from Herb Alpert with effects and a filter on it, and it's just sweeping up and down. But then I took that same trumpet sample and put it inside of Pigments. So that whole drone is granularized Herb Alpert with lots of effects. So if I can play some notes here, maybe. Whoops. Do I have MIDI? I do not have MIDI. Let's turn this keyboard on. There it is. So here we are. This is, if I turn the effects off, that's Herb Alpert. Da 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 da. That's the melody. No copyright strike, YouTube. Thank you. All right. So then putting the granular on. That note sounds awesome. There's some unison voicing on there. Then that's running through the filter sweeping up and down, and then we have in the effects section some distortion, and I'm automating the distortion. So in the break, in the build up, I'm getting more and more distortion. That's what's happening. So all of that is automated. And then there's also a shimmer reverb on there, adding a high layer, like reverb with an octave up to fill in some of the high end there. And that's it. That with automation is what's doing that kind of crazy, cinematic, ominous, apocalyptic drone. Let's listen to this break again, see where we're at in terms of the arrangements. Maybe here I could do the glitchy, grainy stuff on the vocal. Here comes that drone. missed the 303 and the horn. I missed them both. I wanted to keep going. I know. I'm going to take away the To the Sun. Oh my God. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere, I think. Right here. All right, I feel like the 303 needs to completely go away there. Feel like the energy go down too much? Does it need to go even more? It's never done this. I like hearing that little whispered rise in this part. It really stands out. That one needs some effects on it. I'm going to try to make it sound like outside of your head, like binaural. Like it's the kind of thing that it won't matter on a loud system, but when you're listening in headphones, it would be cool if there's like someone whispering in your ear, a little ASMR. Rise, right? That would be cool. Oh, and you know what we're missing? We're missing the too much low end, which I need to mix properly. I want more of a rumble in there. And there's another sound I've been forgetting about. This guy. It's just a little atmospheric percussion sound. It may be. It's an optional. Okay. What time is it? Honestly, I was hoping to get closer to finishing today. Like, you know, I still haven't completely decided on this break yet. Maybe I need some time. Maybe I need to like not listen to it for a little while and or listen to one of the things that when I'm working on arrangements especially, and if I'm either stuck or I just want to double check how it's going, listening to it from a different perspective, either after time, like, you know, don't listen to it for a few days and then come back and listen to it again with a fresh state of mind, fresh set of ears, is one way to do it. If you don't, let's say you want to get something done quickly, you don't want to wait, listening to it differently, right? Listen to it on your phone, listen to it on your laptop. Or whatever, just different speakers will help you notice what an impact it has musically. Maybe, you know, especially for the mix, we all know like listening to your mix on different reference and different, you know, for different references, like you can notice what's working in the mix or isn't and how well it translates. But that's not what I mean though. I'm talking about musical ideas and arrangement ideas. One of the things I'll do is I'll put the music on. I will leave the room. I can't do that here because, you know, I'm talking to you guys. But when I'm at home or maybe I'm here at the studio and no one else is around, I'll play the music. I'll leave the door open, but I'll go out into the other room and I'll listen to it from somewhere else. And that helps me, and especially with arrangement moves, like when things come in and out, transitions, I will feel it differently, and it will really help me figure out what is working and what isn't. Almost always, when I'm working on an arrangement, and I do this, or I listen to it in a different frame of mind, sometimes I'll deliberately like not pay attention. Like I'll put my arrangement on, and then I'll like look at my phone or read a book or like eat something, anything else but pay attention to the arrangement. And as soon as what'll happen is I'll be like I'll be reading or whatever, and then but I'm still hearing it in the background, but I'm just not focusing my attention on it. As soon as something catches my attention, it doesn't matter if it's in a positive or a negative way, but especially if you're trying to fix things. If it's something stands out to you all of a sudden that sounds wrong, or that came in at the wrong time, or that melody, I don't like that note there, or the kick drum's too loud, whatever it is, it'll just, if it catches my attention and it causes me to focus back on the music, then that might be something I need to work on, right? So I'm going to do that with this. I feel like I'm kind of caught up inside in the details of it. Let's listen to this one more time before we sign off. And I'm just going to watch the chat, and I'm going to try not to. I'm going to try not to pay too much attention to the music. Let's hear it from the beginning. Oh, all right. Let's get rid of that. I haven't put that in the arrangement yet. Let's not worry about that percussion sound. Yeah, Luminous Cloud says go for a drive with it. That's what I'm doing in my mind now. I'm going for a drive. I'm already getting ideas about what to change in this arrangement. It's gonna have to be next time. This should happen sooner. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the whole first 2 minutes of this track need to be condensed down. This should be happening earlier. So that's definitely going to happen next time. Going to take notes. And maybe I'm still not, I'm on the fence about whether to put the vocal right there. Maybe it's in there too much. This part I like. Oh boy. It's losing something. It's not there yet. I think that needs to stay. I don't know. Maybe it's too loud. Or it needs more compression or something. I like this part, even though it's really intense. It's a little noisy. Okay. I'm making some decisions while I listen to this. Yeah, this whole part where it gets really intense, this is great. What happens before it needs to change? Nice. All right, that rise comes in a funny place. But should this come back? That's the end now. Just end it with the drone. Okay, we'll come back to that. Man, it's past 2. It's something. It takes time. This stuff takes time. I mean, I guess it could happen more quickly, but anyway, this has been good. You can see my process. You can see it takes a while to decide sometimes. Actually, other times tracks come together quickly. I mean, like case in point, yesterday, Christian and I finished a track in less than 3 hours. Right? I mean, we'll probably tweak it. He's going to play it out in his sets and hear how it sounds. And see, is the kick drum loud enough, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. We always test our mixes out before we finalize everything. But yeah, this one I want to be careful with. We'll do another session with this. I am going to work on it a little bit off air. I feel like in order to really get in and focus on making the right decisions, I need to have undivided attention. But yeah, I'm going to work on this. I have some ideas. I'll tell you now, this is pretty much what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut out some parts from the beginning to get to the build sooner, because it's already 4 minutes by the time the action happens. It needs to happen sooner. All right. And then I think once I do that, the timing of what happens after it will become more clear. And then, so I'm going to do some edits. I'm going to try to make some of these changes. And then we'll do this one more time and we'll try it. Hopefully it'll be the final mix, right? We'll go in, we'll tweak everything. We'll do some mixing. I can show you how I'm making the kick and the bass sound like how they are, and whether it needs to be changed or not yet, I don't know. And we'll try to, get the balance right, because that's what Depeche Mode said you have to do. Thanks, everybody. Enjoyed this. As always, thanks for hanging out today. And again, Christian and I are doing this, private paid live stream event in June, Saturday, June 8th, 12 p.m., brought to you by 343 Labs and, Tronic Records and 343 Labs. And we will have information about this. There'll be a link where you can get early bird tickets. There's going to be social media. All that stuff is starting to happen now. So hopefully many of you will join. It'll be great. Thanks again. Have a good week. See you next time. Adios.